Recently, I had the absolute pleasure of being interviewed by Madi of the Anti-Alienation Project, where we talked about my experiences as a victim of parental alienation, both as a child whose mother did everything she could to try and alienate me from my father, and as a parent who had two children who were alienated against him. Being a victim both as a child and parent gives me what I think is a unique perspective, and Madi was terrific in asking me questions to help me share that perspective. If you want to see the full show, I'll put links in the description and in my bio. One question Madi asked really has had me thinking the past month or so since we recorded the show, and it's why I'm making this video. Let me share the question with you first, then I'll discuss the answer I gave and give a couple of other tips to help those of you who are being alienated from your children.
I am wondering, with that being said, what is your opinion on how parents should deal with their children who are going through alienation? Because there's this huge debate and all these people saying not to ever tell your child that they're going through it or anything like that.
As I said, when Madi asked me that question initially, it really struck a chord with me, because one of the things that I often get asked by the guys that I coach, as well as people who message me that are dealing with family court and instances of parental alienation is, what do I do? How do I handle it? What suggestions do you have? Usually they accompany their question by sharing their heartbreaking stories, and I have to be honest and say, sometimes it's really difficult because it brings up the traumas that I've had to deal with in my past. When you're a targeted parent or child, it's extremely challenging mentally, physically, and spiritually. To say it's emotionally draining doesn't even begin to cover the conflict the children who are being alienated go through. It is, in my opinion, the worst form of abuse a parent can inflict on their child. Frankly, as I see it, only a monster would go about turning a child against the other parent, more often than not out of spite or jealousy. Only someone who is truly evil would do so knowing full well the effects and repercussions it will inflict on their child, a child they supposedly love, not just when the abuse happens, but for the rest of their lives. I know this from personal experience and having worked with hundreds of others who have gone through it either as a targeted parent or as a child. It's something that very, very few ever fully recover from. I've often said that physical wounds are bad. As bad as they are, though, they'll heal in time. But the scars from PA will never heal. They'll never go away. Handling it as a targeted parent is fraught with pitfalls, one that alienators often use as traps to help them further destroy the parent-child relationship. It's a delicate subject, to be sure, because the truth is, there is no right or wrong way to approach it, because as I said in the video with Madi, each situation is unique. What works for one family may be entirely wrong for another. Hell, what works for one child within a family may be the wrong approach to use for their brother or sister. That said, here are 3 tips that I think universally apply and ones that I suggest any targeted parent follow. First, and perhaps the toughest, you've got to stay calm and focus on the child's well-being. Put another way, you cannot let your emotions get the best of you, because in many cases, that's exactly what the alienating parent is hoping for. It is the trap alienators try and get you in, so they can then use it as a weapon to convince the child that you are dangerous, that you are a threat to them. Look, I get it. Having a child look you in the eye and tell you they hate you or that they want nothing to do with you is something no parent should ever experience. It is, in my opinion, worse than having a child die because, while that is, to say the least, horrific, at least there's some closure. Having a child turn their back on you is an ongoing, never-ending pain that will never have any closure, even if down the road the child figures out what's going on and tries to reconcile with you. The months and years, sometimes decades that have passed, can never be regained. And having lived through it, I can tell you as a targeted parent, you're always going to wonder, will they turn their back on me again? Will they walk away and hurt me again? Key things to remember are that it is crucial to avoid confrontation at all costs, both with the child and with the alienating parent, at least when it comes to confronting them in front of the child. Doing either of those things just ends up reinforcing what the child has been led to believe, that you're angry or that you don't want them or don't love them. As hard as it is, and believe me, my friends, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, you must remain calm and not react emotionally. Always remember, any negative behavior by you can and most likely will be used against you to further alienate your child from you. Along those lines, it's important that you do everything you can to keep communication open with your child in whatever way you can. Yes, I know the alienating parent will try and do everything they can to disrupt your ability to communicate with your child and may in fact block you. But as best you can, you need to keep trying. Ensure that all communication is open and positive. Don't bring up what's going on, but on the other side of the coin, don't ignore it completely. Let the child guide you. Encourage them to express their feelings and let them know you're always willing to listen to them and that you'll do so without any judgment. Show them the unconditional love and support that I can assure you they aren't getting from the other parent, the alienating parent. Again, I get that it's hard, but it is key that you always show you are there for them, no matter what they say or do. You need to focus on their needs and always prioritize your child's emotional and psychological well-being. Perhaps the best weapon in your arsenal to counter the lies the child is being told is to show them that you love them and always will, no matter what. If you're struggling to communicate when that child is with you, try engaging in activities they enjoy and creating a safe space where they can feel comfortable and valued. One of the ways my father did that was to take me to the shooting range from time to time. Even though I don't think he knew how much that time really mattered to me, the truth is those hours spent on the range were our time. And as I grew older, they helped me to see that the things my mother was telling me weren't true. Because of that time we spent together, it countered the literally thousands of times she told me my father didn't want me and didn't want to spend time with me. Doing activities together may encourage your child to share things with you that they might not otherwise. Listen to what they say, but don't push them for details directly. Ask questions that are focused on them and what they are going through. If they say mom said X, don't get angry and make a negative comment about her, which is exactly what mom is hoping you'll do. Instead, say, I'm so sorry that she did that. How does what she said make you feel, and how can I help you with that? Tip number 2, and this is a key one, especially for those of you who may have to battle in court, document everything. Keep detailed record of all interactions, no matter how small or inconsequential they may seem. Not just with your child, but with the other parent and any third parties involved, such as teachers or counselors. Record dates, times, and the content of those conversations. If specific things are said, do your best to record them as accurately as you can. Sometimes the littlest detail can make all the difference in the world. If you send something like a birthday card or gift to the other child, take a picture of it and save it. One tactic my mother did was to throw away things my father had sent me in the mail before I ever saw them. It led me to believe he had, say, forgotten my birthday when in fact he hadn't. It wasn't till years later that I found out about it, and to this day, I wish I could see those cards. While a picture of a card you sent may not seem like much, in the long run, it could make all the difference in the world towards helping your child see the truth and aid them in their recovery. Again, I can't stress this enough, but you must be as detailed as you can in your documentation because that information can be crucial if the situation escalates and legal action becomes necessary. Don't just assume you'll remember it. Contrary to what Hollywood tells you, trying to remember things that happened months, even years earlier, while sitting in the witness box getting grilled by an attorney, is difficult at best. Having a record to look back to can provide evidence of the alienation and help you defend your relationship with your child. One final note on that: maintain professionalism. The tendency is for many people to unload in their documentation, to focus on their feelings, not the facts. Save that for your therapist or diary. Even in the most difficult situations, you must remain professional in all written and spoken communication, and most importantly, as I've said, stick to the facts. It is facts that will help you present a strong case if needed, not emotions. Again, be detailed and precise. Think of it as if you're putting together a resume to send to a future employer because, in essence, that's basically what you're doing. Only in this case, the employer is a judge who will get to decide if you get to keep your job as a father. The final tip I'll share with you today, and I just kind of touched on it, is seek out professional help, or at the very least, seek out a confidant who can help you with the situation. It can be a friend, family member, or anyone you know you can trust. But it must be someone you can trust with your life. The one person it can't be, and I cannot stress this enough, is your child. That is one of the tactics parental alienators use, and it is often their downfall. They treat their child as their therapist and unload on them. Lord knows my mother did that with me, even when I was a young boy, 4, 5, or 6 years old. In the end, once I figured out what was going on, it really enabled me to see the truth and, more precisely, the lies that she was telling me. If need be, seek out therapy and counseling both for yourself and, if you can manage it, your child. A key consideration is to seek out and engage a family therapist or child psychologist who is experienced in dealing with parental alienation. One who actually believes there is such a thing as PA, because there are more than a few who don't. And getting one of them involved can do far more harm to your child and their relationship with you than any alienating parent can. A good therapist can assess your situation and give you specific strategies that you can use to try and maintain or rebuild the relationship with your child. They can also help you to address and deal with the psychological impact of alienation, which, as I said earlier, can last a lifetime. If the alienator tries to block the child from seeing a therapist, and trust me, they will, seek legal advice with a family lawyer who, again, understands parental alienation and believes in it. They can guide you through the legal processes, deal with the courts and judges who, again, may not believe in PA, and help you to take the appropriate steps to protect your parental rights. They can help you navigate the courts far better than you can on your own to ensure you and your child get the help you need to maintain your relationship. Look, I'm not going to kid you. It won't always work. Even the best of lawyers will tell you it's an uphill climb at best, but it's something you have to do, or at least try to do, if you want to maintain any relationship now or in the future with your children. And last but not least, build a support network. As I said, reach out to friends, family, or anyone you know you can trust. The biggest mistake I made as a targeted parent was thinking that I was the only one going through it, and that no one would believe me if I told them what was actually happening. Connect with support groups, both locally and online, that are specifically for targeted parents. Follow creators like myself or Madi and her team at the Anti-Alienation Project so that you can learn more about what you are going through and how to handle it. I can't stress enough how sharing your emotions and experiences, not to mention strategies with others who are going through similar situations, can benefit you. Those who are dealing with PA or who have lived through it as a child or targeted parent are often the best people to provide emotional support and practical advice that you can actually use, and which can make a huge difference. As I said to Madi in the video, there is no one way to handle a parental alienation situation, but by implementing the tips I've just laid out, it can at least give you a place to start. To be sure, these aren't the be-all end-all of tips, but each of these tips aims to address the complex emotional and legal challenges that are associated with parental alienation, and which hopefully in the end will help you to maintain your relationship with your child and to protect your and their rights. One final thought, and there's no easy way to put this: there may come a time where you just need to walk away, to let it go. A time when you need to be honest with yourself and just give up. There may be a time where you just have to say, I've done all I can and I just can't keep fighting or I won't survive. If you get to that point and you know in your heart you can't continue to fight, know that there is no shame in giving up and walking away. As I said earlier, dealing with a PA situation is the most difficult, brutal thing a parent can go through. And I know because I lived it. Sometimes the best thing, perhaps the only thing you can do, is just say, enough. It's sad that it can and sometimes has to be that way, but that is the reality. And the truth is, we've lost far too many targeted parents who tried to keep fighting only to end up unaliving themselves because they couldn't walk away. Far too many who just couldn't take the never-ending stress, trauma, and horror. Don't let that be you, my friends.